The Bloodline bombshell has detonated, and Prince William just froze Archie's royal status, igniting an uproar that rippled through palaces, tabloids, and social media like wildfire. The question on everyone's lips: he's your son, but is he really ours? At precisely 9:07 a.m. on February 12, 2026, Buckingham Palace released a statement that didn't just make headlines, it shook the monarchy to its core, leaving royal watchers and global media in stunned disbelief. The statement was polished and precise, but every word dripped with undeniable weight. It confirmed that Prince William had officially rejected the private DNA report submitted by Prince Harry, a report intended to prove that Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor is biologically Harry's son, and, therefore, eligible to re-enter the royal household register. But this wasn't a simple case of sibling doubt. No, this was a full-scale institutional lockdown. William's declaration made it clear no child, even one asserting royal lineage, could be reintegrated into the succession line without forensic-level verification under the Crown's jurisdiction. This wasn't just a request for a second opinion. It was a royal firewall, a direct challenge to Harry's legitimacy, and a spark that has set the royal family ablaze with internal conflict. The stakes? Nothing less than the legitimacy of two royal children, the reputations of two princes, and the future of the monarchy's unbroken bloodline. The public battle erupted when Harry's legal team submitted a 72-page document package to Clarence House last week. The dossier included a DNA test from a California lab confirming Harry's paternity of Archie, a sworn affidavit from Meghan Markle outlining her 2018 to 2019 pregnancy timeline, private ultrasound records from a Beverly Hills OB/GYN, Archie's birth certificate, and a notarized statement from a Portland hospital staffer. The mission was crystal clear: reinstate Archie and Lilette as formal royal family members after years in the shadows, and pave a path for their restoration in the royal lineage. Especially critical as Harry expressed his wish to return to the UK following his separation from Meghan. William's response? Not just firm, icy, methodical, and razor-sharp. Sources inside the palace reveal he immediately reconvened the Sovereign Succession Security Council, SSSC, a previously dormant panel of legal, intelligence, and archival experts tasked with preserving lineage integrity during crises. Within hours, William's office issued a royal freeze on Archie's reintegration, citing irregularities and contradictions that, according to palace aides, could not be ignored. The Bloodline files, a 6-point internal memo, are now the centerpiece of palace scrutiny. These files catalogue the red flags William and his advisors say remain unanswered, raising doubts about the process and the documentation. Among the most controversial pieces of evidence, multiple photos of Meghan during her pregnancy showing wildly inconsistent belly sizes on the same date. The timestamps check out, according to palace investigators, and media forensic experts insist that angle, lighting, and clothing cannot account for the discrepancies. Whispers of a prosthetic moon bump have resurfaced, sending royal rumour mills into overdrive. Unlike William and Catherine's children, Meghan's pregnancy lacks signed confirmation from royal obstetricians Sir Marcus Sell or Dr. Georg Beeson, and no hospital discharge records have been filed in the royal archives. Archie's birth certificate underwent an unusual amendment nearly a month after issuance, replacing Rachel Meghan Markle with Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Meghan's team claims the change was palace-directed, but William labels it unprecedented and unexplained, pointing out that Catherine's children kept their full legal names untouched. The first photo of Archie at Windsor Castle has been dissected endlessly. Lighting specialists confirmed it was taken with studio-grade equipment, and palace staff described the composition as more vogue than verite. The May 2019 event excluded traditional press photographers entirely, raising questions about transparency. Adding to the storm, a $500,000 payment from Owl LLC to a Mexican border fertility clinic, known for surrogacy services with absolute confidentiality, occurred 5 days before Meghan's official birth announcement. Insiders say the clinic specializes in full-service private gestational packages, and a classified MI6 audit, now handled by Palace cyber cryptologists, discovered encrypted notes referencing a non-disclosure agreement with a third party, hinting at a concealed gestational arrangement. William, calm but resolute, reportedly told aides, "This is not a rejection of my brother. This is a firewall to protect the monarchy's constitutional credibility." Privately, however, tensions run high. A Privy Council source confirmed that William has halted the re-entry of Harry's children until a Crown-certified DNA audit is conducted in the UK. Meanwhile, Harry claims William is weaponizing bureaucracy to delay a legitimate claim. Meghan remains publicly silent, but her legal team has hinted that international human rights law could be invoked if recognition continues to be blocked. As the standoff intensifies, Palace insiders fear this could trigger a full public audit of all Sussex exit documents from 2020, including financial transfers, media contracts, and confidential internal memos that have never seen daylight. Following William's stunning rejection of Harry's submitted DNA documentation, the global spotlight now pivots to California, to Oregon, and to a suspiciously deleted email that could unravel the Sussex claim at the center of the storm. Horizontal Gene Diagnostics, a boutique genetic testing firm in Santa Barbara, less than 30 minutes from the Sussex Montecito estate, conducted the DNA test in mid-January 2026. Their result, a probability exceeding 99.999% that Harry is Archie's biological father, but William's camp immediately rejected the findings. Palace officials noted the samples were hand-delivered by a non-neutral party, reportedly Meghan's former chief of staff, bypassing any verified tamper-proof chain of custody. Further complicating matters, Horizon Gene is not accredited by the UK Royal College of Pathologists, nor recognised under ISO 17025, the global standard for forensic labs handling legal evidence. The SSSC concluded the operation appeared designed to produce a desired result, not uncover the truth. Oversight fell to attorney Douglas Hall, an Oregon solicitor specialising in transnational parental rights. Hall commissioned the test and filed Harry's petition with the UK Privy Council for royal protections for Archie and Lilette based on the DNA results. But Hall is now under intense scrutiny after a leaked email dated January 22, 2026, titled, "We need optics, not science." The email reads, "If Horizon Gene won't expedite results by the 26th, find a partner lab willing to certify pre-analysis validity. It doesn't need to be bulletproof. It just needs to look unimpeachable. We need optics, not science. The Palace will only see the paperwork." Hall hasn't denied its authenticity, claiming it was taken out of context for procedural reasons. Adding more fuel to the inferno, William's office released a new timeline. The DNA sample flew from Los Angeles to London on January 24th, but an identical sample was sent to a Zurich lab that never received payment and never ran the test. Investigators say this indicates a pre-planned fallback, suggesting the Sussex team anticipated potential UK rejection and built parallel proof trails. Even more alarming, the Zurich lab marked the sample as practice use only, with no official chain of custody. A senior Home Office official remarked privately, "This doesn't read like a paternity confirmation. It reads like the climax of a Netflix documentary." The optics are undeniable. A Hollywood-adjacent lab, a foreign legal team, a carefully timed media rollout led by pro-Sussex outlets, all while the Palace remained quiet, silently mobilising its own forces. And now, that silence is cracking. The tension is only growing, the stakes higher than ever, and the world is watching as the monarchy teeters on the edge of an unprecedented internal war. If Horizon Gene cast the first shadow, then MI6 just slammed the blackout curtain across the entire saga. As Buckingham Palace wrestles with Prince Harry's contested DNA proof, the Bloodline files have darkened into something far more explosive. Sources inside the Sovereign Succession Security Council, SSSC, reveal that a classified intelligence dossier, previously encrypted under the codename File Sigma and authored by former MI6 operatives, has been reactivated. The subject line alone is incendiary: disruption of lineal continuity, Sussex asset irregularities, 2019 to 2023. At the core of the dossier lies a payment, a secretive fertility clinic, and a mystery so volatile it could redefine the monarchy's very understanding of legitimacy. On May 1st, 2019, just 5 days before the public announcement of Archie's birth, a wire transfer of exactly $499,900 was executed by AWOL LLC. The recipient? A discreet reproductive medical center near Tijuana, Mexico, renowned among elite international circles for surrogacy coordination and strict non-disclosure agreements. The clinic, whose name remains redacted, operates under licensing rules that don't require public registration of gestational carriers and frequently processes offshore births using anonymous egg donors and fully customized fertility programs. What triggered alarm bells for the palace? This was not a routine prenatal check. A source inside the custodian unit, the palace division employing former MI6 crypto analysts, told insiders this was a full-package gestational contract executed 5 days before Archie was even declared born. The so-called moon bump theory that had erupted online in 2019, suggesting Meghan Markle wore a prosthetic pregnancy belly, was, at the time, widely dismissed by mainstream media as misogynistic and racially tinged smears. Yet inside palace walls, visual forensics never stopped. Now, MI6 analysts have revisited archival imagery, uncovering stark inconsistencies. 3 photos of Meghan dated March 5, 2019, show her at King's College and at a charity round table in London, just hours apart. In one image, her bump appears full, taut and low. In the next, smaller, higher, with visible wrinkling beneath her coat, suggesting synthetic material. A private 3D reconstruction commissioned by the palace, analysed with depth mapping technology, concluded that no organic pregnancy could produce such radical shifts in mass and curvature within a 6-hour span. Adding to the intrigue, an anonymous former royal staffer revealed that the maternity suite at Frogmore Cottage was always pristine. No delivery prep, no postnatal supplies, not even a breast pump. It felt staged, the aide reportedly said. These revelations prompted urgent internal meetings between Prince William, Princess Anne, and the King's constitutional advisers. Palace protocol is clear. Any child claiming a place in the Royal Household Register must demonstrate verifiable bloodline ties to a reigning royal, a birth certified by the Royal Medical Office, and an unbroken documentation trail authenticated by palace clerks at each stage. None of these criteria at this point are met for Archie or Lilette, at least not with consensus approval. As royal historian Dr. Miles Grayson explained, this isn't about parenting. It's about the survival of the monarchy's legal and symbolic structure. A disrupted bloodline, even unintentionally, could unravel centuries of precedent. Harry's legal team fired back with a statement late last night. Prince William is weaponizing doubt to delay justice for his niece and nephew. This is not a monarchy of paternity tests. This is a family. Archie and Lilette are ours. They are Windsors. Allies of William, however, see this as emotional deflection, noting the importance of process over sentiment. One insider close to the Queen consort reportedly said, "Harry wants the benefits of royal status without the scrutiny the institution demands, but we operate on record, not feelings." On the evening of February 11th, 2026, a velvet-bound file marked Lineage 1 was hand-delivered from Buckingham Palace to the Royal Register's office. Inside was a formal directive signed by Prince William, now acting with authority from the Crown Succession Security Council, ordering an emergency lockdown of the Royal Household Register. The memo suspended all modifications, additions, or validations related to Archie and Lilette, pending a full-spectrum bloodline review. In practical terms, the children are now in royal limbo. This isn't merely a family dispute over paternity. It's a constitutional custody standoff, threatening to expose decades of concealed royal protocols, long buried under tradition, silence, and portraiture. Since Queen Victoria's reign, the royal household register has been a sealed ledger where the names, titles, and legitimacy of each Windsor descendant are recorded. Never in modern history has an entry been frozen post-submission, until now. Sources familiar with the procedure say Prince William invoked Clause 6 of the Sovereign Child Declaration Act, a binding yet obscure protocol first enacted in 1837, allowing the heir to suspend claims to royal lineage in cases of ambiguity, disruption, or forensic dispute. As former royal archivist Edward Lonsdale explained, this is the nuclear button of lineage control. It hasn't been touched in over a century. Despite Harry's attempts to reinstate his children via DNA documents, all titles, inheritance claims, and ceremonial precedents remain frozen. The measure is more than symbolic. It is operational. Archie and Lilette's profiles were manually removed from the active digital roster, and royal IT teams flagged any future modifications for internal review. But as William exerts control, another figure emerges from the crown's shadows: King Charles III. High-level sources confirm that a sealed memo written by Charles in December 2025, weeks before his health evaluation, was unsealed at William's request. The contents remain classified, but the subject line references the Sussex children and thresholds of trust. What is known is that the memo, stored under level Ivy security at Marlborough House, was written after Princess Anne briefed Charles on inconsistencies in Archie's timeline. It reportedly contains recommendations for denying hereditary recognition if further forensic irregularities arise. An aide stated, "Charles felt conflicted. As a grandfather, he felt love, but as sovereign, he deferred to William's judgment on February 12th at 8 a.m. Meghan's legal team responded swiftly with a preemptive UK High Court motion, accusing William and the Privy Council of orchestrating a custodial coup disguised as a lineage inquiry. Their filing argued that the children are dual UK-US citizens whose rights are protected under international family law, and that the Royal Household Register is not a statutory civil authority, rendering its suspension of Archie and Lilette effectively an institutional erasure. The filing included photos from Archie's Montecito birthday and a sworn letter from Tyler Perry affirming that Meghan carried, delivered, and nurtured both children. Yet the palace remained silent, a deliberate strategy. The family divide is now undeniable. Princess Anne reportedly backs William's firm stance and pushes for an independent royal medical tribunal. Prince Edward is uneasy with the tone, but believes the monarchy cannot risk being caught unprepared again. Queen Camilla has stayed publicly silent, but was overheard saying the crown must stand taller than its scandal. Harry, sources say, is livid and despondent, feeling betrayed not just by his brother, but by the institution he once called home. One palace insider described a recent call between William and Harry as short, sharp, and ice-cold, a suspended registry, a sealed memo, a royal brotherhood fractured. And now, as each new revelation comes to light, the shadow over Archie and Lilette grows darker. The palace walls hum with tension, and the silence that once cloaked the monarchy is finally beginning to crack. The British royal family is no longer just facing a dispute. It is staring down a crisis that could shake the very foundation of the throne itself. What began as a feud over paperwork, DNA, and protocol has morphed into a battle for the moral, legal, and ceremonial legitimacy of the monarchy. At the centre of this storm is Prince William's unprecedented move. He has suspended all hereditary titles, ceremonial privileges, and inheritance rights connected to Prince Harry's children, Archie and Lilette, pending a full-spectrum ethics investigation led by a newly activated and fully operational body. This body, the Royal Commission for Lineal Ethics and Continuity, RCLEC, was theoretical until February 12, 2026, but it is now fully active and empowered. With the royal register officially locked and the children's legitimacy under question, William issued a formal advisory to the College of Arms, halting all ceremonial use of the styling prince or princess for Archie and Lilette. While this advisory does not constitute a full legal revocation under letters patent, it is binding in practice. Palace aides, court officials, military attachés, and even royal event planners are forbidden from using the Sussex children's royal styling in any formal capacity until the lineage is verified to the Crown's satisfaction. The directive reads, "The styling of prince or princess shall be withheld as a matter of institutional integrity." The decision, insiders say, was not taken lightly. Yet with global scrutiny on the children's origins and with potential succession ramifications looming, the palace considered it essential to act decisively and transparently. But titles are only part of the firestorm. Even more explosive is the residual estate of Princess Diana, whose updated 1996 will divide her wealth equally between her sons, to be passed down to their legitimate descendants. With Archie and Lilette's legitimacy suspended, access to their share of the Diana Trust, estimated at over £22 million, is now in question. Sources reveal that William has quietly consulted the trustees, exploring the possibility of placing the Sussex children's allocation in escrow until RCLEC issues its verdict. This would effectively cut off immediate financial access, a move that has left Harry furious. Privately, he is said to have called it a betrayal, not of me, but of Mom. He reportedly told a confidant, "Diana would never let bloodline paranoia override her love for her grandchildren. She believed in hearts, not birth certificates." Palace advisors, however, argue that it is precisely because of Diana's legacy that the matter must be handled with the utmost rigour. "This isn't sentimentality," said Lord Pembroke, an unofficial legal consultant to the Sovereign Council. "It is fiduciary responsibility. Trustees must act cautiously until legitimacy is formally established under rules set out in the Royal Charter of 1975, never before applied so publicly." The RCLEC, which has largely operated behind the scenes for past royal crises, is now convening publicly for the first time in living memory. Its panel of 7 includes 2 senior lords from the House of Lords Ethics Committee, a retired Privy Council judge, the Royal Archivist General, a constitutional historian from Oxford, the Archbishop of Canterbury's legal representative, and a former intelligence officer whose name remains withheld. Their charge: determine whether Archie and Lilette's lineage meets the legal, moral, and ceremonial standards required to retain or restore status in the royal household. "This isn't just about DNA," said royal historian Fiona Travers. "It's about trust, tradition, and the continuity of monarchy in an era of digital manipulation and global scrutiny." The Commission has already requested access to every version of Archie and Lilette's birth certificates, Meghan Markle's travel logs in the year prior to both births, surveillance around Frogmore Cottage, and redacted financial transfer records. Should the Commission conclude that the children's births do not align with royal succession laws, the consequences will be seismic. Archie and Lilette would be permanently removed from the royal household register, their titles extinguished, and their participation in future state visits, jubilees, and ceremonial roles barred. Their share of the Diana Trust could be nullified or rerouted, while Prince Harry himself could risk losing the HRH styling, as some Commission members view his actions as a potential misrepresentation of lineage to obtain institutional benefits. "The monarchy has survived scandal, exile, and abdication," Travers continued. "But a falsified bloodline, that could trigger a public reckoning of unprecedented magnitude." Public sentiment is sharply divided. Polls released February 12th indicate 62% of UK citizens support the RCLEC review, while 47% favour keeping the titles suspended. Yet 41% sympathise with Harry, seeing William's actions as bureaucratic brutality. On social media, hashtags like #ArchieTruthFiles and #DianaWouldHaveLovedThem have gone viral, alongside #CrownOrChaos, signalling the countdown to the most explosive royal decision in decades. Inside the palace, tension is at a fever pitch. Behind the wrought iron gates and within the digital fortresses of the RCLEC, a decision is being finalised. The question: do Archie and Lilette legally and ethically belong to the House of Windsor as of February 13th, 2026? The final report, compiled after a 6-day review of birth records, international financial transactions, and private testimonies, is being reviewed by only 3 individuals: Prince William, Princess Anne, and the Lord Chancellor. While the Commission's judgment remains sealed under royal protocol, the emotional, legal, and political tremors are already spreading. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle, who has maintained a conspicuous silence during most of the RCLEC proceedings, is preparing a recorded interview to drop within hours of the verdict. Sources from her legal team confirm that her message will be direct, personal, and explosive, aimed squarely at both the palace and the public. Filmed over 2 nights at her Montecito estate, the interview reportedly includes an emotional defense of her motherhood, her pregnancies, and her childbirth experiences. Her assertion is expected to hit hard. This investigation isn't about lineage, it's about misogyny, class bias, and institutional control. I carried and delivered my children. Now they're being erased. This isn't DNA. This is power. The production is coordinated by an independent US outlet, bypassing Netflix, Spotify, and traditional platforms, and will be distributed directly across YouTube, Instagram, and multiple international syndicates, ensuring that Meghan's message reaches the world before the palace can respond. Palace sources are bracing for impact like never before. Inside Buckingham Palace, tension crackles through the corridors. Meanwhile, Prince William is preparing a response of his own, a statement less emotional than Harry's legal manoeuvres, yet no less historic in its scope and potential consequences. A draft titled "On the Matter of Lineage and Constitutional Continuity" has reportedly been finalised and is scheduled for public release within 24 hours of the RCLEC's verdict. The speech, approved in principle by King Charles before his recent medical retreat, is said to address the outcome of the commission, the permanent registry status of Archie and Lilette, and the Crown's position on future title and succession claims for any descendants not born under verified royal conditions. Sources close to William describe the tone as firm, unflinching, yet profoundly personal, conveying both duty and a heavy sense of responsibility. In one particularly striking line, William reportedly declares, "This decision was not made with malice. It was made with duty. I would rather carry the burden of public backlash than risk the erosion of royal truth." Those close to him say he has made peace with the consequences, even if it means distancing himself from his brother in public or private life. But the drama deepens with a final twist that has palace insiders on edge. A sealed travel manifest, leaked by Heathrow customs officials, lists a private jet scheduled to land on the morning of February 14th, 2026. The manifest shows one adult male travelling under the name Henry Mountbatten Windsor, accompanied by 2 minor children listed as dependents. The departure point, Van Nuys Airport, California. The operator, a discreet international charter firm typically used by senior royals. Notably absent, Meghan Markle, her security detail, and any press presence. Palace aides have neither confirmed nor denied the manifest, leaving the palace and the public in suspense. Insiders speculate that Prince Harry may be returning alone with Archie and Lilette, perhaps as a final gesture to demonstrate that his children belong, not just by blood, but by presence. Royal correspondent Olivia Hart describes the potential move as extraordinary, a gesture loaded with both defiance and hope. Yet skepticism runs high. One palace insider warns, "This family doesn't play checkers. They play chess. Every move is calculated. Every gesture has layers of meaning." Outside the gates of Buckingham Palace, journalists have begun to set up camp. News crews from across Europe are converging, anticipating the most explosive royal announcement in decades. Headlines are already beginning to sweep the continent. Children in limbo, royal verdict imminent. The Times versus the DNA files. Lilette's lost lineage. Sussex versus Monarchy. Who owns the bloodline? Public opinion is sharply divided. Some view Meghan as a modern devoted mother crushed by centuries-old tradition. Others see William as the necessary steward of royal continuity, and many now cast Harry as the tragic figure caught in the middle, a man torn between love, loyalty, and legacy. The stakes could not be higher. Should the RCLEC rule in favour of Archie and Lilette, the children would be reinstated into the royal register, able to use titles, be added to the official line of succession, and become eligible for disbursements from Diana's trust. They would be recognised as fully legitimate members of the House of Windsor. Conversely, if the RCLEC rules against them, the outcome would be permanent and devastating. Archie and Lilette would be formally and irrevocably excluded from royal status. Any attempt to use royal titles in public or media contexts could trigger legal rebuke, and Prince Harry himself might face disciplinary measures for misrepresentation of lineage. A final clause in the RCLEC Charter gives the King, or in his absence the Prince of Wales, the power to veto or accept the ruling. Yet all signs point to William intending to respect and implement the Commission's decision fully, letting the verdict stand unaltered. This is not merely a story about one family or one disputed lineage. It is a global case study in legacy, power, identity, and the fragile balance between public duty and private devotion. 2 brothers, 2 children, 1 bloodline, and a single defining question that will echo through the monarchy for a generation. Does birth alone make one royal, or must the crown first recognise you? Tomorrow, the world will finally know the answer. Be sure to follow for updates. You don't want to miss how this royal saga unfolds.